My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire. And look, I had zero excitement for this movie, but I was still hoping for it to be a fun, dumb time. And it's not. This movie really sucks. I think it's absolutely terrible, and it's boring as can be. Like, to be fair, I saw a late showing of it last night, but I almost fell asleep multiple times. This movie just did nothing for me, but let's begin talking about the performances. And Rebecca Hall can be such a good actress. I thought she was really fantastic in The Gift. She's great in Christine, and her talents are just wasted here. She plays a very boring character with nothing to do. Brian Tyree Henry tries his best, but he still just feels generic. Dan Stevens, I thought, gave the best performance in the movie, but he's still given such weak material that he can't elevate it. But I saw the potential in what he was trying to do. And Kaylee Harder, I thought was really good in Godzilla and Kong. Here, I thought she was pretty bad. Her entire storyline just did not work for me. In fact, everything with the humans just did not work for me. The best parts of this movie is with Kong and the little monkey dude. The human stuff is just boring as shit. And yeah, I don't know. I'd just rather they have more compelling human stories, or they just focus on the monsters entirely. Do one of the two, because this combination just doesn't work for me. And let's just get into the biggest issue with this movie, and it's the one that destroys any chance of me rewatching this movie, and it's the fact that the pacing in this movie is atrocious. The first two acts have nothing happening. There's just a point where I was just thinking to myself, like, what is even the plot of this movie? What are these characters trying to do? What are they looking for? Why? It's just the thinness of plot. It just feels like a bunch of random scenes. And to prove my point, go to the Wikipedia page for this movie, look at the plot. The first two paragraphs are the first two acts of this movie, and the last 5 paragraphs are the last act of this movie. Like, that's a huge issue, and we get to the last act, and everything just starts happening at once, and it just becomes this rushed mess. Like, this is not a proper thought out or structured movie in any sense. Like, we don't even see the villain until the last act, and he has zero presence for the beginning part. Like, the movie should have begun with his introduction so we can see the threat, but instead he's just not present until the very end of this movie. And look, like, there is some entertaining action at the end, but I feel like I saw all the best parts in the trailer, and I hate that criticism because that's not the movie's fault, it's the marketing. But still, like, the scene with the building is in the trailer, and there was this cool zero gravity sequence, but I still felt like the last act wasn't satisfying enough to make up for the first two acts. Like, it has its moments, but it's still very, very just blah. And yeah, so the writing in this movie is just abysmal. Like, it truly is. I have heard some people say the CGI is bad, and as much as I don't like this movie, I'm not going to agree with that. I think the CGI is good for the most part. There is some obvious green screen every now and again. There's not the craftsmanship of like a James Cameron or Denis Villeneuve behind the camera, but I don't think it looks bad by any means. I think the biggest issue visually is the lack of scale, because so much of this movie takes place in Hollow Earth. So these giant monsters, these giant monkeys, don't even look giant. Like, it's not until the end of the movie where we see the villain in real where I'm like, oh, right, he's a big monkey. Like, up until that moment, the scale is just absent. So yeah, Adam Wingard does his best to try to give this movie some personality with the soundtrack and the bright visuals, but I don't know, it just feels all kind of irrelevant. Like, even Godzilla turning pink, it just feels like he turns pink for the sake of it. It's just, this franchise is not for me. Is this movie absolutely abysmal? No, it's not the worst movie ever made. It does have its moments here and there, mainly in the last act in with Kong's storyline, but there's so much additional shit that I could not care less about. The plot and structure of this movie is just a mess. It's boring. I'm giving Godzilla and Kong the New Empire a 3 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Godzilla and Kong the New Empire? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. Gavin, out.